Welcome to this week's Market Minute. I'm Eric Hagstette with Inhabit Real Estate. Now, last week we talked about getting you updated on the new construction scene here in Portland. There's a lot to get your head around, and let me tell you, we study this closely and we work in this market a lot, so I'm going to try and give you a succinct, easy to understand version, and that's going to be a tall order. So here we go. We've all heard of residential infill project. Well, I hope you have heard of that, RIP, residential infill project. That went into place in 2020. That changed planning and zoning and encouraged middle housing, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But I want to tell you why this happened first. By the year 2035, we are expected here in this little market to grow by over 100,000 households. So the city is trying to catch up for lost time. We should have been building this a long time ago, but now we're going to try and catch up for the future, and that's why we're seeing these changes go into effect. So here we go. RIP 1. That really affected planning and zoning. Now, we had a shift in RIP 1 back in 2020 that went from a straight basically density calculation to more of an FAR calculation, floor to area ratio. That's also basically the amount of lot land you can cover. Now, part of FAR also limits height and still requires setbacks. Therefore, it indirectly limits the size of houses that can be built. So I know you've all seen it happen in the past. You have a lovely classic neighborhood full of modest and average sized bungalows, and all of a sudden a giant McMansion comes and fills in a spot where a house once was. Well, those will no longer be allowed for the most part. Now, what does that do? Now, you're going to limit the amount of big house stock coming into the market. That's going to raise, in my prediction, the value of larger homes, especially coming out of COVID, where we now have multi-generational living, we have work from home and other needs out of our house. So be mindful of that when you think about these big houses, right? They often don't feel like they belong in these little neighborhoods, but they do serve a purpose in the market. Okay, RIP number 2, middle housing. What is that, you ask? Duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes and townhouses on regular city lots. This is going to change the fabric of the neighborhood once the developers figure out how to easily build under RIP2, right? But the good thing is it's also going to give you options. For the landowners out there that may want to build their ADU or may want to develop their own land or set something up for themselves, or at least know how to sell that value and monetize those changes when you list your home. So those are just a few of the highlights, a couple of the highlights I wanted to share with you. RIP1, RIP2. Now, new construction, you either love it or hate it, but no doubt about it, we all need it. We need more supply, and we need it to be easier to go from land to housing than it is right now. So whatever you can do your part to encourage more housing to come into the market, and therefore we can keep affordability in check if that's even possible. Thanks for joining today. Like, subscribe, and comment, and we'd be happy to share content on whatever you'd like to hear about.